Hello, my name is Julio Eli Martinez Suarez, and I'm going to present the feasibility study of aquaculture shrimp indoor systems in the United States. The United States runs a deficit on the amount of seafood that it imports. About 17 billion is being imported every year, and from that 6.4 billion represents the amount of shrimp that is coming to the United States. The US shrimp per capita consumption is about 4.4 pounds per person. The seafood security provided by the FDA is limited. This visualization presents the top 5 countries that provide the US shrimp imports to the United States. We have India, Indonesia, Ecuador, Vietnam, and Thailand. The majority of the shrimp that is coming to the United States is coming from the Southeast Asia region. The inadequate biosafety testing of import seafood and the high trade deficit puts into perspective the importance of increasing US shrimp fisheries landings or US shrimp aquaculture production. It is important to mention that the amount of shrimp that might come from the waters around the United States is already at peak and cannot be improved to remove the amount of the shrimp that is coming from overseas. So the only option is to increase the production of shrimp in aquaculture facilities within the United States, inside the cities. And that's the problem that we are going to try to answer by developing a prescriptive analytics model that is going to investigate how the current shrimp retail market, and we are going to try to find prospective sites to where to install the aquaculture shrimp indoor system or ASIS. On this graph, you can see that we have the seafood, the different type of seafood that is being sold to the retail, to the grocery retail companies around the United States. And we have shrimp that represents the biggest market share of everything that is being sold to the stores. We did the research and we decided to study how Walmart represents 17% of the market share with regards to all the seafood that is being consumed on the retail market. And that's where we're going to focus on the Walmart 17% of that market. In addition, Walmart is committed to source their seafood sustainably. We work to develop a list of the Walmart food distribution centers, and we were able to find quite a few of them, and we found all of them pretty much, and we have this list, and that's about 44 different Walmart distribution center, and it was current as of August 2022. So we're going to use this data, the location addresses, to develop the model. In order for us to calculate the amount of shrimp that is being consumed at every Walmart distribution center, we use we develop equation 1 and equation 2 that is being shown on this slide. And pretty much we calculate the amount of shrimp that is being consumed by Walmart, and by doing this in equation 1, we made an assumption. We use the same 17% that we have on this graph. We use that 17%, and we translate that, or we made an analogy or assumption that 17% represents the same amount of the market share that Walmart has on the US shrimp retail market. And that came to about 101 million pounds of shrimp that is being consumed by Walmart. And if we divide that by the 44 different locations of the Walmart distribution centers, we came to a total of 2.3 million pounds for Walmart distribution centers. So we use this number to calculate an optimization model of the same model that we have later on. At the beginning of the research, we decide to use, or we found the transparency farms. So pretty much they were the ones that their idea, it was something that I had an interest to develop. So I watched a video on YouTube, and from there I start thinking about how to analyze this problem. Transparency Farm is a farm that is already located in Los Angeles. So from there, I start developing the idea how to tackle the problem, about how to diversify the model and their systems, so we can start producing more shrimp within other regions in the United States. However, at the end of August 2022, this company, Ataraya, came to market. They are still a private-owned company, but they came publicly, and they launched what they call the Shrimp Box. They already been recognized by Time as the best invention of 2022. And what they're doing, or what they're trying to do, is making shrimp the future of protein. So I moved from using the transparency farm model to the one that Ataraya is providing with the Shrimp Box. So what they're doing is they have a 40-foot cargo container where they have automatic feeding system. They have a biofloc removal system. They have a control room. They have a waste management. They have aeration system, and inside the container they have a 33 feet long by 3 feet tall by about 8.5 feet wide tanks. So they have two of them inside every shrimp box. And the important part is that they're already commercializing this technology. They already have ready to sell it. So we're going to be using their numbers, their economics, and everything that they're already providing for us to develop the model. So these economics they already provide. These numbers are coming from Ataraya Inc. So they pretty much have three different ways to buy their technology. They have what they call a minimum farm, a medium farm, and a large farm. So the minimum farm is about 20 shrimp boxes units. The medium farm is about 50, and the large farm is about 100. After we developed the study on this model, we pretty much went way bigger than the large farm that they are already trying to bring to the market. And the reason why is, well, that was something that we decided to use at the beginning with transparency. So we kept the focus to look for 200,000 square feet buildings, and we didn't look for anything lower than that area. So pretty much we focus on bigger buildings, and that's gonna be later on presented. So this is the layout that they're proposing. So they're proposing to have the shrimp farm, the shrimp box inside warehouses, and you can see here the layout of the pipelines to bring the water in and out, and everything will be inside warehouses. Something to mention here is like there are still this kind of, they say that you can stack these containers, but in some of the pictures that they have these rails, and they have opened this top platform. So it's kind of hard and difficult to assume that you can put something on top if you have these rails. So for this model, we are only assuming that we are using the ground level for space, and we are assuming only 2 containers on top of 3 containers. And you will see that later on the layout that we develop. The other thing is like on the layout that we are proposing, we are keeping about 8 feet around every container, because they have these little windows here. And in some of the videos that they have available in YouTube, you can see that they are accessing the trim box on the side. So that's something that is really a constraint, because you cannot optimize the use of heavy space inside the warehouse. So you will see those numbers later on, but at least I can tell you that using these constraints, like then you cannot put anything on top and you cannot put anything around the container, about 50% of the space in every warehouse is pretty much not being used. So it's something to really think about how to improve those numbers. So once we decided to use Walmart, we went to start looking for data coming from the real estate market, and we found this website called LoopNet, and it was very user friendly. We didn't use like any code to grab the data first, because it was very important for me to see the pictures of the buildings, because some of the buildings were, within the specs of what I was looking for, but they were kind of old, and they on the pictures you couldn't see. Why I was not able to see how good insulated they were. Some of them, they were old buildings with a lot of like open spaces, and that was kind of hard. Sometimes the layout inside, it was not the correct or the appropriate for us to bring containers. So pretty much what I found, I did a search on the website where I found about 500 results, and I put some of the following criteria for the search. It was for lease. I looked for buildings that they were available for lease, then they were industrial. The lease rate was less than $7 for a square feet per year. So I really look for buildings that they were cheap on that aspect, and after I look for buildings that were over 200,000 square feet of building area available for use. From there, I was able to find 40 different buildings. I really looked for all of them, not all of them, but they were pretty much a lot of them. Some of them, they were on the second floor. Some of them were too far on the west, on dry state. So I kind of removed those because this will be an industry with a lot of like water consumption. So I kind of removed those, and especially most of the Walmart distribution centers are on the east, and there are a few of them on the west. So pretty much the majority of the buildings that I found, they were on around the Great Plains to the east. Once I found all of the buildings, I had to calculate the distances between the buildings and the Walmart distribution center. So for that, I was able to use Google Distance Matrix API application. So that it was the code that I used. I had like about 600 calls that I had to use, and it was nice. I had to create the API, but Google gives you about $300 free credit, so it was good and easy for me to use. Once I run the code, I was able to get the distance matrix API request and response. So I was able to get data like this. This is just an example where I had the location of the warehouse, and the location of the Walmart. And from there, I was able to get distances. From there, my next step was to develop a layout. And that layout, this is an example of a layout, 200,000 square feet warehouse, where I was able to install or accommodate 236 shrimp boxes. Okay, so just for explanation, this every line, every yellow line is a shrimp box, and every blue line is another shrimp box, but on the second level. So pretty much what I did, I had a length of 40 feet times another 40 feet, because I left another 8 feet between these on the blue spaces. So that's 8 feet. So you have 40 times 40, that's 1,600 square feet for 5 boxes. Now I left another 8 feet between this and that, because what I was talking about, those little windows. So I don't know if they're gonna use those or not. So I assume we are gonna need them. And from there, I have this big green space. So this big green space is about 40 feet. If I'm not mistaken, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, my bad, it's 48 feet. So that 48 feet means that if this shrimp box needs to be repaired or removed, we can bring this one out, move it all the way. Well, we need to like dry this, disconnect it, all the plumbing, bring this out and bring it back to this area. Then this will be the maintenance or the replacement area. This blue space is what I call the processing area, and that will be for all the shrimp that is gonna be produced at the farm, at the shrimp boxes. I'm assuming that this warehouse is gonna produce the shrimp, it's gonna process the shrimp, it's gonna frozen the shrimp, and it's gonna ship the shrimp. I'm assuming everything is gonna happen in-house. So that's why I'm leaving this blue area that is about 1,200 square feet. And I have all this green space because I'm assuming you won't have crane available in every single space, in every single area within this warehouse. It will be so expensive to have cranes all over the place. So the best way is to use dollies, forklift, and for that you need space to move these containers. So by doing the calculation, I was able to find that about 55% of the building is going to go to unoccupied space, because I already explained to you. The shrimp boxes will be about 38%, and the processing area about 6.4%. This processing area is just for me to bring a number. It can be less, it can be more, but it's something that if we need more space, you can have a second floor, because most of the buildings are at least 14 to 20 feet. Some of them are 34 feet tall, so they are very high. So you can have a second floor, and you will get another 1,200, like 12,000 feet extra on top of this, in case and we will need more space for processing. So we use these 200,000 square feet as a example to grow from there, because some of the warehouse that we were able to grab from the LoopNet, we have about warehouse with 1 million square feet or 600,000 square feet. So the number for shrimp farms really increases a lot. Before we move forward, we were able to develop the model, right? So we have the expenses and revenue ASIS model, and from there is where, if we come back, we have pretty much all these. This is just the beginning of the model, and for that we use Excel. but we were able to develop all these codes and variables, and we were able to explain those. And from there, we use the variables on the values for the model. Every single one of these one is already reviewed and is up to market. It's very close to what the market is paying or what the market is asking. And I'm talking about utility, security, CAM, real estate taxes, insurance. We are assuming the price per pound at $10 per pound. The salary for the employees is at $23. This might go up and down. We're using a $6 million BTUs for heating costs. The electricity costs for the industrial it will be about 7 cents per kilowatt hour. From there, we use the variables to develop the model. So this is just how everything goes forward. We have like this building in Manchester, Georgia, zip code. We have the rate that they are releasing that building. We have the square feet, and from there they are having the heating is being provided by natural gas. They have a composition. So this number is something that we developed, and what we did is we used the layout, the graphical layout that I present here. And some of the buildings, they say that they have, let's say, 500,000, but it was 3 buildings. So that's something that on this one, I really had to develop this. That way, if it says 358, that means that it's 1 building of 358,000, right? And it's the same for this one. Sometimes we have, like, say, here you will have 500,000, but we have 250 plus 250. So that means that we have 2 different buildings, and on that we just need to account for maybe 2 processing areas. Maybe maybe you don't need to have a space in one building for warehouse or for like storage or maintenance of the shrimp boxes. Maybe you can just use everything, all that space of 250 just for storage of the shrimp boxes instead of having a space allocated for something else. So that was something important to develop, because some of the buildings, they were like 800,000 or 900,000. So that was kind of important to have in mind. Now we have the height and the buildings. In this case, they are 32 and 36. I had to calculate the volume just in case we need it for heating calculations. I didn't use the volume because I used something that I can explain that later. I used the surface area. I had to look for the column space to make sure that there were enough clearing for us to bring the containers. So most of them, they were between 30 and 40, 50 and 50 times 50. So there was really buildings with a big space for us to work around. From there, I was able to graphically calculate the amount of shrimp boxes. So in this case, we have one with 350 to 480, but the one with 560, it goes up to 800. And for that, I use different layouts. So from there, let me just give you an example. From here, from 200, I went to 250, and I developed another one for 350. And from there, I had to, create like maybe for a 1,000 or for like 1 million, I had to combine like two or 500,000. Let me go back. Sorry. Okay, so that was the amount of shrimp boxes. Ataraya is charging about $33,000 for shrimp box, and they're assuming that they're gonna get, or they are expecting to get at least 20% of that capex on the first year. So this equipment capex is just the 20% or return of investment of the investment, and of the 33,000 per shrimp box. The warehouse lease is, we just multiply the surface area times the rate. The power requirements that came from Ataraya. So they have about the electric power requirements per box. That was 5 kilovolt amps per trim box. So we calculate that, I transform that to kilowatt hour, multiply that by the dollar amount, and that was the total. We had a water bill, heating bill, the security, the CAM, the real estate taxes, the insurance, the total feed cost. We use other models than use the same biofloc system, and we use the numbers that Atarraya is providing, and they are saying that they are expecting to produce 3,300 pounds per trim box or trim ready to go to market, and we calculated about 3,600 pounds per trim box per year. Then we're gonna need to feed those trim. We are assuming a $3 per pound feed cost. So that will give us this total feed cost. The labor, it was calculated because Atarraya is already providing those numbers. The prawns production per pounds, same, Atarraya numbers. Total feed weight in pounds, the number of workers, the prawns revenue. The majority, well, the model was based using a $10 per pound, and I did that because most of the because the amount of the cost of the trims is gonna be before shipping cost and before processing cost. So I think it will be very important to keep the prices low. I know Atarraya is expecting to sell trims at $20 per pound, but it will be interesting to see if I'm missing something on the model to really justify to increase the price to $20 per pound. So it will be important to explore this model later on and being able to bring real values from the demo facility that they have in Indiana. So for these farms, I calculated the total expenses and the profit. So at least these farms, they were profitable. Once we have developed this model for every single, for all the 40 locations, we move forward to do an optimization model. And for them, I decide to use different variables for a optimization facility, and that's what we did. So we place the customer, the annual demand from that customer, the facility, the transportation cost, the activation cost, and the maximum amount that it could be produced at each facility. So the customer, it was the Walmart distribution centers. So that will be the 44 of those. For the annual demand, that was the 17%. Then we already calculate that in equation 1 and 2. The facility was the 40 industrial warehouses. The transportation cost, we got that from the API Google Matrix distance, and we use that distance and we multiply that times $3.2 per mile, and that's something that is already within the nation's average. So that's a number that we use. It's kind of on the high end side, but it's still a good number to use on these calculations. So we multiplied every single distance that times 3.2, and we got a dollar value for all those miles. And the activation cost, we had a constant value for each ASIS warehouse without the feed cost. And we have the constant value for the maximum amount that it can be produced at every ASIS warehouse, and this one, it will be the amount of trim that it will be produced. So we have unitless number, we have pounds, That will be the unit for the annual demand, and we have a unit, no unit number. We have a dollar amount here, and we have a dollar amount here, and we have a pound, because this is the maximum amount of pounds or shrimps that it can be produced at every facility. From there, we have 5 different constraints of the model, of the optimization model. So first, each individual customer demand must be satisfied. So on this case, every single customer demand from the Walmart distribution center must be satisfied. Second, if a facility is selected, its max capacity maximum, so this one, is taken into consideration. If not activated, the demand satisfied by the same facility is 0. Third, there are variable upper bounds. Fourth, all constraints must be positive. So all my numbers are positive. Fifth, variables are binary. So once I have that, I was able to run the code, and I run the code in 4 different scenarios. I have the code for a demand of the 100% of the Walmart distribution centers. I have the code, and I run it for a demand of just 75% of the total trim than the Walmart distribution centers consume every year. I have the same for 50% and 25%. For every case, I got, for the 50%, I got 30 warehouses, and these are the warehouses that I got. For 25%, I got 25 warehouses, and these were the ones that I select. And that's, and when I run the code, every single customer location of Walmart got served, or we supply every demand at every Walmart distribution center, but just the 25% of the total demand. So I already applied that for everyone. So it was a constant number for every single customer. From there, so that was the optimization model for different scenarios. Once I had that, I moved forward to develop a sensitivity analysis. And from there, I just increased the expenses, and it was just the heating and the energy requirements and the energy bill by 15% and by 30%. But at the same time, I increased the profit. So in one scenario, I had increased to $11 per pound, and in the other one, I increased it to 15%, $15 per pound. Now I need to mention when $10 per pound, some of the farms or the ASIS warehouse were negative. So at around $11 per pound, all of them were economical viable. So they were in green numbers. So that's what you can see here on these 2 sensitivity analysis charts. And that was pretty much what we did. We found different recommendations that I think it will be important to mention and to summarize here. I think the aquaculture shrimp indoor systems is a really important way to bring the biosafety to the level than most of the other industries are providing to the American consumer. And it will be a good industry to develop, because it could become profitable, and it could be a profitable solution to compete against overseas shrimp producers. Now, the sensitivity analysis provide the importance on how the price per pound is very, very important to keep an eye on that, because the retail, it will be very challenged to really get into it, because like most of what Transparency Farm is selling their shrimp is to high-end restaurants, and like they are paying $20 per pound, but it is really, this is at Raya when the shrimp boxes, if they want to really enter into into the really big market, they are gonna need to really bring the cost down. So pretty much keeping an eye on the price per pound is gonna be something very interesting to see how they really attain those numbers. The heating of the building during the winter months, it might represent a challenge in maintaining the project profitable. And I'm talking about because the majority of the locations were on the northeast, something about in places above Alabama. It would be nice to bring these facilities close to the coast, close to the sea. You have the water, you have nice weather, but unfortunately, this model didn't explore open space land. We constrain that to the use of buildings that are already being developed. And there was very few of them that they were being developed in, Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama. So that's something that maybe they can just think about buying the piece of land and build something that is fit to the trim boxes. But that's something, that I might need a different type of study. The heat generated by the trim boxes should be studied to understand the heat transfer mechanisms to occur once the boxes are inside the buildings. Adding insulation to trim boxes might help reduce heating bills and exposure to fluctuating natural gas prices. We use about $6 per million of BTUs. That might go up, that might go down. Sometimes during 2020, we were at around $2 per million of BTUs. Sometimes that number can go up. So that's, studying the heat transfer and the heat generated and how the trim boxes are being kept warm is something that it will really help to eliminate like uncertainty from the model. And because once the company and Ataraya stays away from fluctuating natural gas prices and energy costs, they are pretty much ready to go. The demo trim box located in Indianapolis could provide more data about the functionality and production of the trim farm during the winter. That's something that they already mentioned. Ataraya already mentioned that they should get more data during this coming winter and start getting more real data about how a trim box is gonna behave during the winter. And that's something new for them, and I found the same. It's very important to have that data and that information. The profitability of the system model could increase if more trim boxes can be added to the second layer of containers. If the trim box system becomes a real plug and play system, the profitability of the system could duplicate as 10 trim boxes. Could be placed in the area that 5 use at the current model layout. So that's the thing, that this is something to really explain what I'm trying to say here. The 50% of the area or the building area is not being used. And why is not being used? Because at the end of the game, you have water connections, electricity, you have pumps, and you have all these different equipment in every container. Now, what happens if one of them goes bad? Are we gonna be able to just replace everything on site? What happens if something really tells you that you need to remove the container? And I'm talking about different scenarios. Maybe something is bad inside the trim box and you don't want that to stay there because it might contaminate the other ones around. There might be so many different scenarios that you need to remove that specific trim box from the facility. So that's why at this time, because Ataraya didn't provide that information, I assume that you must have enough space for every trim box to be removed from the facility. And especially talking about biosafety and FDA regulations and all that stuff, I'm assuming you need to be able to remove every trim box from the facility if need be. So that brings you to about 50% of the space that you won't be able to use because you will need to have that space to move the trim boxes. Now, saying that, when the shrimp boxes and the pictures that they have available, they are having access on top, and they are using the windows on the sides. Sorry. So it's really kind of difficult to assume that they're going to be just a plug and play, and they're going to be just stacked like normal cargo containers. That's going something that is, I don't know if they are there yet, but once they eliminate those factors, and once they move forward with the reliability of their equipment, and I'm talking about the plumbing and the, all the pumps and electronics, when they have that reliability going, yeah, you can increase the amount of shrimp boxes per building. Because right now, if you are a second layer, and most of the buildings will allow that, because the height, and we already reviewed, is sometimes about 30 feet. Yeah, you can add at least another second layer. So the profitability, or at least you remove the cost of the lease, right? And you're gonna generate more heat. That means that you're gonna need less heating. You want that your heating bill is gonna decrease. So there is pros and cons. So that's something to think about and to review. The layout proposed on this study takes into consideration enough space to move any shrimp box in case of repair or replacement. As consequent, there is a lot of unused space in the current layout. This represents the biggest opportunity to increase the profitability. Yeah, the same thing that I already mentioned. So I hope you really like this presentation, and I'm hoping that this idea becomes a mainstream technology and a mainstream economy, and it becomes part of what we need here in America, about developing new ways of how to get food to our tables. So thank you for your help, and have a great holidays, and I talk to you later, and see you soon. Bye bye.